Hello everybody, welcome in. I'm your host Ben, and this is Who's Clues. As always, let's begin with the recap of last episode's tale, Death in the Arctic. Set in the research facility, North Star Station, which was in the Arctic Circle, our crew found one of their members, Dr. Owen Carmichael, the geologist, murdered. With a pickaxe found covered in blood next to the body, it was up to our crew to determine the murderer. Speaking of the crew, let's go through our suspects. We had Dr. Harriet Shaw, the lead scientist. We had Sophia Alvarez, the young, ambitious marine biologist. Rolf Eriksson, he was found unconscious in that hidden ice cave. There was Dr. Lena Novikov. She had that vial, the empty vial, in her quarters. And Paul Donovan, the radio engineer, but it looked like the radio had been tampered with. Now we've familiarised ourselves with the setting and the crew, let's get to the reveal. As tensions reach their breaking point, the crew pieces together the timeline. The evidence points to one key detail, the sabotaged radio and the empty vial. The vial, when tested, is found to have contained a powerful sedative used to incapacitate Rolf so that someone could sabotage his and Owen's work without interference. The culprit is revealed to be Paul Donovan, the station's radio operator. Paul, who had seemed indifferent to the scientific work around him, was secretly working for an outside corporation that had learned of the mineral's potential. He was sent to spy on the research team, sabotage their communications, and steal any data Owen uncovered. Paul, knowing that Owen was getting too close to exposing the mineral's location, planned to kill him and take the data. He tampered with the radio to prevent anyone calling for help and had been feeding information to his employers via a hidden transmitter. When Rolf began to suspect Paul drugged him, intending to make it look like an accident in the ice cave. In the final confrontation, Paul confesses, his calm demeanour cracking under pressure. He had hoped to make millions by selling the location of the mineral deposit to a mining conglomerate, but Owen's discovery had forced him to act sooner than planned. As the storm outside finally begins to break, Paul is detained by the remaining team, waiting for the arrival rescue team. The betrayal cuts deep. Paul had been part of the group for months, trusted by all of them. As the North Star Station returns to its icy silence, the surviving scientists reflect on the dangers of greed and ambition in a world where survival should have been their only concern. The Arctic, vast and unforgiving, has claimed yet another victim, but this time it wasn't the elements that killed. With the storm lifting, help arrives, leaving behind the frozen landscape and chilling reminder that even in the most isolated places, human nature can be as dangerous as the wild itself. And that closes that story. Well, let me know what you think. You can email me at whosclues.podcast@gmail.com. I really enjoyed that one. Like I said, there's no detective. It's the suspects figuring it out for themselves and detaining the guy until help arrives. But let's move swiftly on to our next story. This one's titled The Poisoned Chalice. It's set in an opulent Worthington estate, a sprawling mansion nestled in the English countryside. The estate is owned by Sir Charles Worthington, a wealthy industrialist. The occasion is a family reunion and the reading of Sir Charles's will, following his sudden decision to divide his fortune. Tensions are high and his heirs gather, each expecting a share of the vast fortune. Let's get to our characters. We have Sir Charles Worthington, the ageing, stern patriarch of the Worthington family. His sudden decision to rewrite his will has stirred up old rivalries and secrets among his relatives. We have Lady Evelyn Worthington, Sir Charles's second wife, much younger than him and disliked by many in the family. She stands to gain a large portion of his estate, which makes her a target for suspicion. We've got Edward Worthington, Sir Charles's eldest son from his first marriage. A shrewd businessman, he is always expected to inherit the bulk of the family fortune, but fears his father's second marriage may jeopardise that. There's Clara Worthington, Edward's estranged sister, an artist who lives abroad. She rarely visits the family, but rumours suggests she's deeply in debt and desperate for money. George Davenport, Sir Charles's trusted lawyer, who has managed the Worthington family legal affairs for years. He knows all their secrets, or so it seems. And finally, Alice Davenport, George's daughter, Sir Charles's personal assistant. She has grown up around the Worthingtons and is close to Lady Evelyn, but there's tension between her and Edward. Let's get into the events of the evening. The Worthington family gathers at the estate for what is meant to be a celebratory reunion. Sir Charles has announced that he intends to revise his will, a move that has everyone on edge. Each family member suspects that Charles's much younger wife, Lady Evelyn, will be the main beneficiary, leaving the others with little. As the event unfolds, tension rises during the extravagant dinner in the grand dining hall. The guests drink wine from ceremonial chalices, a family tradition dating back generations. Sir Charles gives a brief toast, praising the family's legacy, though his words carry an undercurrent of condescension. Halfway through the meal, Sir Charles suddenly grasps for air, clutching his throat. Within moments, he collapses, convulsing, and dies in front of the shocked family. The guests erupt in a panic as it becomes clear that Sir Charles has been poisoned. Our detective is called into the estate. She immediately realises that everyone at the table has a reason to want Sir Charles dead. She goes through the clues found at the scene. There's Sir Charles's poisoned chalice, from which he drank moments before his death. It's found to contain traces of a rare, fast-acting poison. The chalice is an heirloom, and no one outside the family would have easy access to it. The altered will, found in George Davenport's briefcase, it indicates that the bulk of his fortune was to go to Lady Evelyn, and only a small amount left for Edward and Clara. This fuels suspicion on Evelyn's involvement. In Sir Charles's study, a torn photograph of Sir Charles with a mysterious young woman is found in his desk. The photo seems recent, and no one knows who the woman is or why the photo was ripped. Several staff members also report hearing raised voices the night before the dinner. Edward and Lady Evelyn were seen having a heated argument in the garden, but neither will admit what the fight was about. A letter from Clara to an unknown recipient was discovered in her room. The letter is cryptic, mentioning a debt and a solution that will fix everything. It's unclear whether she was referring to her father's fortune or something more sinister. And Alice Davenport, Sir Charles's personal assistant, was seen near Charles's chalice before the dinner. She claims she was merely setting the table, but her movements were uncharacteristically secretive. She also seems to have an unexplained connection to Lady Evelyn. As the investigation progresses, it's discovered that Lady Evelyn stood to gain the most from Sir Charles's death. She admittedly denies any involvement. She reveals that her and Sir Charles had grown distant in recent months, but she also suspects that he might have been having an affair with someone much younger, perhaps the woman in the torn photograph. It's also discovered that Edward, resentful of his father's remarriage, was deeply concerned that Lady Evelyn would inherit the estate. However, it is revealed that Edward had been embezzling money from the family business for years. If his father had found out, Edward would have been cut off entirely. This gives him a strong motive to kill Sir Charles before the truth came to light. It's discovered that Clara had fallen into financial ruin due to a series of failed investments. She was counting on her inheritance to pay off her creditors, but the new will left her nearly penniless. Clara's cryptic letter was to a loan shark threatening her. The family lawyer George Davenport reveals that he had known about Sir Charles's plans to disinherit Edward and Clara. He had also been aware of Sir Charles's affair, but had kept it secret out of loyalty. However, he had begun to suspect Alice of conspiring with Lady Evelyn for a larger cut of the estate. Then there's Alice, who's long viewed as a background figure in the Worthington family. She's revealed to be more deeply involved than anyone suspected. She had a secret helping Lady Evelyn gather evidence of Edward's embezzlement, hoping to expose him and secure her father's position as the family lawyer. But her loyalty to Lady Evelyn begins to waver when confronted with the truth of what happened during the dinner. And this is where we will pause the tale. Like always, the conclusion will be revealed in the next episode. So, who do you think it was? There's Lady Evelyn Worthington, the second wife. We have Edward Worthington, the eldest son from the first marriage, and Clara Worthington, his sister. And the two Davenports, George and Alice, George being the family lawyer and Alice the personal assistant. Well, I like this one, a good old family reunion whodunit. Families, you can't live without them, unless you're Sir Charles Worthington, I guess. But thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.